Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. Okay, the title of this chapter is called Unreal Standard Third-Party Library Encapsulation. And then we mainly want to explain to you what these plugins in the plugin folder are doing. And then there are several editor plugins here, which are designed for editor development. We won't go into detail, we'll just create them and take a look. And we have started a new project here. We started a new project, and we might share it with everyone later. Right here, this project and this project are actually not very useful. We mainly focus on this project. At the same time, first of all, this chapter mainly talks about this one. We can go through these together. And before we start our operation, open this first. Editor preference, mesical nails, then display UI extension points. Then restart the editor. We are a C++ project because we need to write code. So it is a C++ project. Okay, remember this step. What are these green things? Because these green things are actually extension points. For example, if you want to add something to the menu bar, under the menu, add a menu like this. So do you want to add it before the menu or after the menu? Then it is related to green. This is just the name it displays. Actually, it is this letter, K. It is this letter, K. Including you want to add it above this row, right? Then next, we will go through each one and show you how to create them. Let's first go over these simpler things. Let's first create the first blank. We'll just put it in this project. Let's call it editor blank. We can just call it Xiaogang blank. Okay, then you can see here we create a blank plugin and use minimal code. Then see if you want some create a plug call without any visualization. It's just one by one, and this plugin it will be displayed in our plugin list. But it won't register these buttons or these menus. This is the simplest kind of plugin, okay? Then let's wait a moment. We still need to compile this code. Actually, there is also a game feature plugin here. Yeah, it seems like it wasn't seen, but that's okay. As for game feature, we'll talk about it separately later because it's quite special. It's a bit slow. I'll pause for a moment. Okay, it's already indicated as complete. Then we just need to reload it here. Actually, you can see that here we find our plugins. There's a small steel plugin here, but we placed the R. Never mind, because this is something from color graph. Let's change the color graph here. It will then change. You can see, for example, here, change it to small steel plugins. Okay, then we mainly take a look at the structure of this plugin. You'll find it's very simple. It only has one module, and that's it, nothing else. This indicates that when the module starts, it will call this function. When the module shuts down, it will call this function. So this is the plugin description. This is just an empty plugin. There shouldn't be any issue. Let's just look below. Next, we create the second plugin. This one is called content only. That means this is a plugin that only contains blueprints. We'll name it. Then we'll just put XG in our field. Okay. Okay, it has been created successfully, because it only contains blueprints. Actually, there is nothing here, but it actually exists here. You can see, you can write blueprint here. For example, let's write a blueprint. We give it an actor. We call it BP. Okay, this is a pure blueprint plugin, right? You can see it here. Then we can open it, show in Explorer, and here we can see there's a plugin here. It also has a PUPP file. You see, each uplugin description is like this. It can contain this blueprint. Then for force, we just change this to XD. This kind of pure blueprint plugin is generally rare. You see, it only has one content resource. That's it. And this is our minimal code plugin. You see, it looks the same. It has an extra betters and intermediaries. You see, this is the content. You can write blueprints here. No problem at all. Next, let's create a third one. The third one is the blueprint, function library. This is used quite often. It provides an inheritance from the blueprint function library, a modern function library. These nodes can be used in blueprints. So let's give it a small one. Blue est opened. Okay, this name is a bit long, but that's okay. Let's create it. And then this part needs to be compiled. Slightly. It should be pretty fast. Actually, it's already done here. Probably. It's already detected here. Let's reload it. Because we are now, actually, it is not attached now. We are not attached to process. This method, you can see here, we can find our UUE. If you attach it, it is equivalent to, it is similar to starting from VS. It is similar to starting from VS. Look, there are these three plugins. Then this Bluetooth pens library, it is out at the very beginning. When we explained the project structure, we mentioned compared to the simplest minimal code plugin, it has an additional blueprint function library. This blueprint function library can provide some methods. Then this method is static. It can be called directly in blueprint. This method is called XM function. We can change the name. We don't want this method, but we do it like this. We delete this. We call it quarter library. Function. Paste function. As for the name, we'll still call it this. As for keyword, call it paste. For category, we put it here. Should be fine. Then we create its implementation. With this implementation, we let this float. Add 998 to it. Okay, now we can use this hard reload. It should be fine. Let's compare. It seems like it says unresolved external command here. Maybe it can't compile. If it can't compile, forget it. Then we'll just launch from here. On this side, we'll launch directly via VS. Personally, I prefer launching via VS. Okay, good. In this case, actually in our observer graph, you see, this is as a bit eye-catching. We find our observer graph. Then here we type xg. That's this function. There it is. This is a standard BP function. I hope to explain this to everyone. You can see that here we are creating a plugin. And this BC Thinkiel library. Then here you can choose to create this blueprint static node. Then for these next three, we will talk about them together. The first one is this editor module. It can create a plugin. It will have an editor module, and it will contain a toolkits example. That is, a specific UI will be displayed in the module area. For example, it goes with for large, possibly under Linescape. And at the same time, it includes the machine. It can also have a UI and some editor interactions and some functions we created. Editor development is actually quite simple. You use a player. That is our engine editor development. How should you learn it? First, you need a basic understanding of gambling. Then you need to be familiar with the various resource types inside. For example, our U texture, U sound, and then our static mesh and other resources. Be very familiar with resources like material. Then, after you are familiar with these resources, you can then modify the content within these resources, their content. Let's close this side. Then, after you finish writing the C++ code, you need to use it in your editor tool because you need to use it for blueprints. So you need to learn Slate. Slate is used to write these UIs. Then once these things are connected, you can start doing editor development. Editor development is relatively difficult, and relatively, it is higher than our gameplay development and lower than our engine development. At the same time, editor development is not very fun because it doesn't have the fun of doing gameplay or doing client-side or gameplay mechanics. And here, the editor module has already appeared. You can see the stuff here is a bit more. And then, let's first take a look at its presentation. Then let's take a look. We just created a plugin like this. it should have an editor module. You can see this is the editor module. Look at this editor module. It's us. You can see these things. In your actual development work, if you use Blueprint, for example, painting vegetation, we paint the terrain, paint vegetation. This is destruction, and this is animation. We might use these during animation. We might use these, and this is type D. But under normal circumstances, we select things like being able to place actors and this place. This is the part type. It should be this BSP thing. This is Xader, and here you can see it actually has some feature, but these features haven't been further developed. And let me explain to you, when you first start learning editor development, you might need to learn Slate. This course will cover Slate, but we don't have time to teach you editor development. The two most important tools for editor development are actually an editor tool and an asset tool. As you can see, assets are the assets in this area. These assets are assets. When you need to access these assets or modify and save them, then you need to use asset. Editor is actually in your level blueprint. You need to modify these objects in the level blueprint, modify their orientation in the editor. For example, in my case here, that is going here, to generate several objects like this. Then you need to use this actor, this YouTube editor after YouTube tool. If it's an asset, then it's the editor. Asset tool. And then we added a module here and here. Actually, it mainly has this. We come back here, back to our project, then back to this plugin. This plug car. First, observe this place. See, its type is editor. That means it will be stripped when packaging. So in this module, you will find it contains Slate. We will use this later. We can talk about it. And this is called editor framework, editor step, Unreal idea, level editor. So these are all the things you will use for editing and develop, especially when you need to operate some animation editors, material edited, and some blueprint editors. Anyway, you will use these things. It's quite normal. As for the enter point, let's look at these four classes. The first class is module. You can see that here it needs to execute this command again. That is, these two menus will register your menu bar and associate related functions. Then we go back to this command. Let's take a look at what kind of work we need to do. We'll just briefly look at it here. Otherwise, this thing would be too long. I spent a few minutes. Let me sort out this logic. Anyway, this part is for registration. This part is for unregistration. You can see the class they are calling is actually the command class. What does the command class do? Actually, the command class. It is specifically used to handle these UI commands. We mainly look this part, register. It is in common. This tells this is a series of commands. Then you need to inherit it. Then just implement it. Then here we have a simple example. So at the very beginning, it will do. If this instance does not exist, it is to ensure this thing exists. If it does not exist, it will create one. Then look for this context. If this context can be found, anyway, just do a type conversion. Anyway, just re-register it if it's not found. Then copy this new thing to this location. Then call this rejects comments. And finally broadcast that our comments have changed. So this is the underlying execution mechanism of the engine. You can set a breakpoint. Let's take a look. But we won't go into detail, so we'll skip it. Then this inherits from tag comments. Depro is what we just saw. There is a regis method. It is called in the module section. Right. It is called, and then in tcomments, when it is instantiated by hand, it needs to be in this place to add our commands. Obviously, we only have two commands here, two tools. One is, the other is an interdancing tool, right? So these two things, it is just like this. Free commons info. This commons info, these two tools. Actually, so here it just registers its commands. Command registration. You will find that it is just a self-referential indicator light. So when does it become instantiated? We will explain later when it gets instantiated. This part is essentially treating this as the comments. This part is where we write the commands. You can definitely add another one here. Write another one like this. Then, how do you do it? Proston, salad, and home. then change the name. For example, simultool. You call it simultool run. Write it out like this and you will understand. We won't go into depth. This is where the command is registered, and this is its constructor because it is like this. It inherits from T commands. Then it initializes this constructor. Then in T commands you will find the first one contains contentland. The second is the description, then the parent class, and then this is its style. So here we go back. You can see it specifies the initialization of the parent class, that is its name. Then the description, then its parent, then its style. So this commons is explained clearly. It registers all our commands. Let the module call its registration and unregistration. Next, let's look at this model. This model inherits from UE5 model. UE1 actually is the base from which all editor modules inherit after inheriting from it. There is a series of tasks to be done. You can see this simple alarm and intriclam. Here, in this place, the name is written. You can see such a name. It means he uses this name. In hardcode, in this place. These are fixed and written in this place. Then construct and paste. As for these override methods, let's switch back and take a look. Then in the constructor, he loads it in there. First, he loads this module. That is a letter state is loaded in. As for this info, just specify its style. You can see these images, icon. It might be these icons, these things. You can create 2 more. Then, through comparative analysis, you learn using this method. That's all it takes. Here, we mainly look at this enter. After entering, there is a reject tool here. And this reject tool passes in a simple count. Simple count is the counter we just discussed. So here, a smart pointer is passed. And here, a lead object is passed. So what is this thing? This thing is right here. We won't go into detail on this tool because it is essential within its operations. Some methods are used to perform calculations within the word thing. Some of these overriding methods, then, depending on different needs, it will inherit different interaction classes. For example, here it is collect drag behavior target, and here it is single collector. Compare these two. What do they mean? Obviously, it is evident. One is the engine providing you with click extension. There's also an engine that lets you click it once, right? So we are here. ADAR comments, you'll go back to this place. Then here, you definitely put the command into it. That's it. Okay, basically, we'll just briefly touch on these classes. You see there are comments here. This is a button. This is a toggle button. It's called input call. You can click on UI comments and then take a look. That is the comments IDE, friendly name, description and type, right? Okay, our editor model. We'll just take about 10 minutes to go through it. Actually, there's a lot to learn if you want to go deeper. So here there is actually another one. You see, here is one. What is the TOKET? Right, this part is its parent class. Here we specify its TOEC. It's definite to give it some introduction, some hints and the like. Look, create a UI panel, then allow various interactive tools to initialize. Then these students can display their properties. So this is what we defined ourselves. So this thing, it is inside this U model. Go to this place, create tucket. It has been instantiated. Then here, get these commands. This command goes back, it comes back to this place again. Basically, once these 3 things are clear, then the rest, you just need to follow its pattern. Go write this tool. Then take a look. These tools, these comments, how they correspond to us. Then take another look inside the engine, how these things are written. So this is an editor, a simple thing, developed by module. Okay, alright, then we'll stop here for this lesson. We'll cover the rest in the next lesson.